Gatekeeping. Is it a good or a bad thing in the fashion community? I feel like I've kind of been hearing this topic float around quite some time, whether it be on YouTube or TikTok. And we often see people say, well, I don't gatekeep. Here's 3 tips to whatever, right? And then we also got people that are like, yo, I got these pants on. I'm not telling you where they from because I don't want you to dress like me. You feel me? So I think we need to get to the bottom of it in this video to see who is right, whether you should start gatekeeping or whether you should not gatekeep. So let's get into the video, man. My name is Jadon Grundy. Welcome to the channel. What is gatekeeping? In my personal opinion, I think gatekeeping in the fashion community is pretty much people controlling or limiting access to certain things like knowledge, trends, brands, or even styles, I guess. I think it often usually involves like a select group of people, such as like influencers, fashion insiders or journalists, or just long-time enthusiasts who are into the culture. But these people kind of set like unspoken rules of things that are in or out and who's worthy of participating in fashion culture, which we can right off the bat see how it can be very controversial. But one thing I do want to do is I want to talk about the side of gatekeeping and I want to talk about the side of not gatekeeping. So first we're going to talk about gatekeepers, and when I think of gatekeepers I kind of think of fashion elitists, which was originally going to be the title of the video. I was going to title it Why We Love Fashion Elitists, and you'll see in a second, but I think it is just a very controversial nature to being an elitist, and it seems as if it's very cool to be a part of, but if you're not a part of it, you're just not a part of it, so you should stand over there type of thing. So I would say some of the cool things about elitism or gatekeeping is that there are certain things like limited edition drops, you have exclusive events, or you just have like rare fashion pieces that nobody else can get, which I think is kind of cool because you get the allure of being the person that's in the know or a part of the exclusive club. I think some examples of this would be like high-end luxury fashion. Like if you look at brands like Louis Vuitton, Balenciaga, or even like a Gucci, they have these prices that are set very, very high. Don't get me wrong. Part of it is because they make higher quality items, but part of that perception is yo, we make good items, we set the price here, and if you are one of those people who can buy this, then you are one of us. And we all know that like that type of exclusivity only is reserved to about 10 to 20% of the population. Like most people can't afford these brands. So every time we advertise something, it looks like it's the poor people looking up at the people who are in the club, and the people who are in the club are exclusive. And I think it doesn't necessarily have to be like a monetary thing. Like if we think about the culture of like things being sold out or the resale market, it kind of does the same type of exclusivity thing. So if a brand just had a drop and you knew about the drop, but it sold out in 3 seconds, now you still feel like if you were to purchase that item, I was one out of however many people on the website that was actually able to get it. So now you feel really excited, not only that you got a piece that you really liked, but you know other people don't have it. So you get to walk around and kind of get this feeling that everybody's looking at you because you have that one thing everybody wants but wasn't able to get. You get what I'm saying? And even if they were able to get it, you don't know if they went to the resale market and overpaid for it. So that's a whole nother price bargain. Like let's say when Supreme was lit, right? Like let's say you would buy a Supreme hoodie for $180, right? You know you paid $180 for it, and I might have the same hoodie, but it's a possibility that I paid $1,000 for the hoodie because of how exclusive it is. I think we also look through that same lens when it comes to like fashion influencers or celebrities. I think that there was a time where they felt so like in the know about what was going on in the fashion space, or if you're a celebrity, it felt like we were only able to like live this life through you. So it made the celebrity feel very, very exclusive, which is pretty much the only word that I could use about gatekeeping. Now, on the flip side of that, we have the people who actually hate gatekeeping, and they have very valid reasons. and they all pretty much contrast what I just talked about. So the first reason I would say is it feels like a barrier of entry for most people. Like if I'm somebody who is new to fashion and I want to start getting into it more, it kind of feels like I have to jump through hoops to kind of get basic information, which can quickly not be fun for somebody who's just trying to get into it. Like I might want to be on the level of somebody who's a fashion elitist, but because I asked this other fashion elitist who already has the knowledge and they told me, hey, like you got to figure it out for yourself, now I don't even want to be a part of the fashion community because I feel like it's too hard to get the information. And it doesn't always have to be a information type of thing. I think we see it often in things such as like accessibility or just things being too expensive, like I mentioned. If I just got into Rick Owens, right, because I see everybody that's cool wearing Rick Owens and now I want to go buy something from Rick Owens, when I go to the store and I look at the price tag and it's $1,000, as somebody who's just now getting into it, that is a very high ticket and a lot of commitment to make when I'm just now getting into something. That could be a huge turnoff to somebody who's just now getting into fashion. Or let's say I like an item and I can't wait to go buy it. Let's say I have the money and I want to go buy it and I go to the website and it's sold out. It's like, dog, what am I now supposed to do? I have all the information, but now I just can't buy that. You feel me? And to get kind of towards the end of this, I think a lot of people just don't like a know-it-all. And I think when you have a lot of knowledge in a particular area and then people ask you about it and you kind of act like, well, you don't know that? Like, are you even into fashion for real? Like, it comes off as very like arrogant and just not inclusive. You feel me? So that can be a very big turnoff. And I know a lot of people personally in fashion that kind of act like that. You know what I'm saying? Like they act like it's kind of like snobby in a way. You feel me? Like a rich snob. I don't know. Now, with having the two opposite opinions of gatekeeping, I think it's kind of important to talk about the different impacts it's had on the fashion culture. And the first one I want to talk about is one that I think people would call the golden years, which I think is kind of like from 2016 to like 2018. This is where we were seeing the prime years of fashion elitist, in my opinion. So if there was a side for this to be on, it'd probably be on the gatekeeping side. But this was like the era where most people or most fashion heads would say they were having the most fun in fashion. Like this was the era where you were seeing people like an Ian Connor or like a Luka Sabat, or brands like Supreme and Yeezy were really in that like peak of like hype. You know what I'm saying? Like this was the era that birthed hype beasts, which hate it or love it, it kind of felt like this culture where it was like very exciting. Like it was like an adrenaline rush to get something or to know about these people or be interested in fashion culture or just streetwear culture. Like that era felt like streetwear was like this cool kids club, to where it was like, if you're into streetwear, you're cool. I don't know how to explain it, but y'all get what I'm trying to say. But there was just a lot of cool things happening. Like you even had, I think this was kind of like the golden years of like fashion YouTubers. Like as a fashion YouTuber speaking on it, it felt like this was the time where we really got people who were genuinely interested in the fashion culture. Like you had PAQ, which were giving us all types of cool insights on how to dress or just different challenges or events that were taking place in the fashion culture. You had people like myself who was just creating videos and clothing hauls and rating subscribers' outfits. You had people like Jacob Wallace and Fernando who were kind of like the duo of like, if you know, you know type of brands. You got Sanjeev, who kind of felt like the cool, elegant fashion person who might not have been so streetwear, but it was like a branch off into like designer or high-end items. And I'm kind of just going on a rant here, but then you got people like Icy Cove who kind of started the whole what are you wearing type of thing. Like just a whole birth of just newness came out of that generation in specific. And I don't necessarily say that to say that that was the better era, because I do want to talk about our current state of fashion and how it has just changed or just been different. And I think in this current state of fashion, I think we've had a lot more easy access to information. I think that the people who I just mentioned were kind of like the head runners of, yo, here are the cool things and here's where I'm getting it from. And if you can get it, then get it. And that kind of led this new generation of fashion influencers or people who are into fashion be able to take that information and kind of run with it. So you also see much more influencers now than we've ever seen before, which can feel a little bit like oversaturated, but when you really think about it, you kind of get to see different aspects and different subgenres of what is going on in fashion. Like, there are so many different branches now that you actually can pick something very specific and be able to follow it almost like a trend, so to speak, but it doesn't feel like it's a part of the trend that everybody is doing necessarily. So it's still kind of cool, so to speak. And then I feel like everybody who's making content in this current space watch those people and we're able to do that same type of thing or get that same type of feeling out of new fashion mediums such as like TikTok or Instagram Reels. Like, we have a lot more creators now who are doing things on the fly and we're able to see it in real time and much more quickly. Like, we don't have to wait a whole nother week for a fashion YouTuber to make a video. Now we can kind of just follow somebody on Instagram and see what they're doing and the outfits that they're putting on every day. You can take this as kind of a pro or a con, but it feels like right now everything is a trend. And I think that kind of stems from TikTok and everything being like a core and subgenres, as I was saying, but it feels like everything can be looked at as something that is popular, which on the bright side, you feel included, but it also makes everything feel oversaturated at the same time. And then last but not least, it feels like people are getting younger and younger and are able to afford crazy items. Like, it kind of feels like everybody has access now. And I think part of that is because of the way that you can just benefit from the internet or e-commerce. Like, we're seeing much more influencers who are getting these brand deals and are able to get money to go spend on whatever they want to spend it on. Or you have these people who are on the trend of like creating a clothing brand, and now they just did a drop where they sold 100K worth of clothing items in a month. So it's like we're seeing like a whole different version of what was happening in this new generation, and people are getting younger and younger and younger because there is no age limit of the internet anymore. So it clearly feels like there are pros and cons to whether you are gatekeeping or not gatekeeping, and I think it kind of just depends on where you fall in the ladder. If you are somebody who is just getting into fashion, you probably don't want to be around gatekeepers because you want to get into fashion. Or on the flip side, if you are gatekeeping, you want to feel like you are part of an exclusive club, because if everybody was a part of it, where's the value in that? So I don't know. I think it really just depends on what side you choose. Let me know down in the comments what side y'all are on, or if you're able to continue this conversation down there, I'm definitely down to top it up with y'all and see what your thoughts are. So make sure you do that. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more videos like this. And that's all I got, man. Peace.